Hey, this is Sarah from sarahdesign.com, and I'm going to walk you through my White Tapered Mug mock-up today. This is the 14-ounce white stoneware mug that they sell at Dollar Tree. So I'll just go through the layers palette over here. The very bottom layer is the background, which is just white. So you can see that you can turn that off, and then the mug is sitting on a transparent background, so you can put any background or backdrop behind it that you want, which is very handy. Then we have a shadows layer. You can open this up and see that there's some shadow layers inside of that, which you could turn on or off selectively. And you could just go and collapse it so it's closed and turn down the opacity if you want to, depending on what your background looks like, or turn it off. Next layer up is the mug itself. And then we have 5 layers for glitter. I'm going to skip those for a second and skip up to the top where we have our smart object layer. So in this layer I have the text that says hello there. So if you had some black vinyl that you were going to put onto this mug that says hello there and you wanted to get it into the scene, yes, you could just place it directly on top of here, but sometimes you want it to sort of curve to the shape of your mug. So the best and fastest way to do that is if there's a smart object, because you can just double click on this thumbnail to open it up and paste in any new design that you want. Hit save, you go back to the beginning or the main image, and it is saved. And I'll pick a different one so you can see how it shapes to the glass. So this is a really straight text. It's kind of taking up a lot of space. If I hit save and go back, you can see it's kind of bent to the shape of the glass. So it looks a little bit more natural, although this looks really ugly. You wouldn't want to do that. But let me turn that off. I'm going to turn on this red layer for a second and hit save. And I know that I haven't hit saved because up here in the PSB tab, which is our Smart Object tab, there's an asterisk to the right of where it says RGB 8. If I hit File, Save, that asterisk goes away. And now I know that when I go back to the main tab, it's going to be updated to show that layer I just turned on. So I turned on the red layer so you can see the area that the Smart Object lives in, and that is just this main part of the mug. If I go back to the Smart Object, turn that off, turn back on some text, and I could hit, or actually let's turn on this one up at the top, and I'll hit File, Save. I can go ahead and close that, and there it is. So you might think, why is it way up there at the top of the mug? Well, it's up there because you're going to put glitter at the bottom. So we have a bunch of layers here with options of where the glitter lives on this mug, and I put them into their own separate layers, so it's really easy for you to pick how deep you like to dip your glitter. So you can see this bottom folder says lower third, no handle, so that means the glitter just goes here. Next one up is lower third with handle, so I've added in part of the handle there. And then the third one up is called 2/3 with handle. See, so we're getting up pretty high. This is where this text looks most natural on this design. And there's 2/3 with no handle. And finally, there's the full glitter version, which you could just turn off the Smart Object for that one if you wanted. So glitter covered from top to bottom. A note about each of these glitter layers: if you open them up, inside you'll find a few layers included. There's one called Dimension, and that is sort of the shading. See how it's a little bit darker over here and lighter on this side, so that makes it look just really natural. If I turn that off, it becomes much brighter, but it looks kind of flat too. And then, and this is especially for the full glitter version, we also have this optional shading layer, which is in all the other layers as well, and that again adds just a little bit more dimensionality. If I turn that off, then you can see it at its brightest, but it also looks completely flat, like it's a paper cutout almost. I'm going to turn it back on. Below that we have the color layer, which I've written to double click the icon. And what that is doing is it's applying kind of a filter over top of the original base color, which is gold. So this color layer, which is this blue one, if I turn it off, you can see gold is the base color. So if you sell gold glitter dipped items, then you don't have to adjust the color at all. But the beauty of this file is that you can adjust the color to pretty much any hue you want. So let me turn that color layer back on. And if I double click on the little icon, it pulls up this properties menu where we have a hue slider, a saturation slider, and a lightness slider. So in the hue slider, that actually changes the overall color. Right now it looks kind of pink. Let's drag it. Let's drag it to the left. Now it's looking purple and blue. Let's drag it to the right. It's looking kind of orange, back to gold again, green, kind of an aqua color. You can see how that goes. Saturation is what makes it really brightly colored or almost black and white. So it's on +3 right now. If I drag it left, it's getting like dimmer and dimmer, more like a black and white type of glitter until it looks sort of sickening and terrible here. But if we dragged it right, it would just get brighter and brighter and brighter. So you can drag these things around as much as you want. And I've included a file inside of your download that shows you the sort of recipe of what you want to put for hue, saturation, and lightness for a rainbow of common colors. And you don't always have to drag. You could literally highlight that little box over there and type in any old number that you want. Like I could put 80, or I could put 3, or I could put -5. Doesn't matter. Drag or type. Lightness is kind of self-explanatory. If you have a really deep color, you want to drag it left so it gets darker. If it's very, very light, you drag it right. For most of them, 0 is pretty good on colorize. I mean on lightness. So the next layer down, 2/3 no handle. You can see those same familiar layers in here of the optional shading, the color layer, and the original base layer. And it's the same for each of these next folders inside. Easy peasy. I promise that this is very easy to use. And if you don't want to use glitter, you don't have to. You could just use the regular Smart Object, hit save, close, and you're done. So I hope you found this video helpful, and we'll look in my shop on Creative Market and on Etsy to see what else I have to offer. Lots of good stuff in there, and I will see you around.